One of the first things that we're going to be taking a look at here is called the View Cube. The View Cube was added to 3D Studio Max 2009 and provides some very nice little convenience features for navigating or moving around in your scene. Now, if you're using an older version of 3D Studio Max, don't worry about it. We're still going to be taking a look at all the traditional viewport navigation tools, and so you can mix and match and choose the ones that you like the best. The View Cube is represented by a box with a little ring at the base of it. As I move the cursor around the box, you can see it highlights different areas. These are preset views. Now we can actually click on, say, the left side of the box to go to our left vantage point. Now in addition to that, we can click on the little arrows that are on the sides of the box. That will allow us to rotate to those particular views. Now these arrows are only available when we're in a predefined view. We also have the option of clicking on the various edges of the box, and this will kind of give us a nice perspective view of what's going on. We can also click on the corner to give us a 3/4 view. In addition to these presets, we can click and drag on the box itself to rotate the view. Now notice what happened here. The scene kind of slanted a little bit. Now this is actually the result of the navigation method that is used with this box. Okay, it's just kind of like an artifact of it. This is a very common method that is used in real-time graphics. And so knowing how it works can actually help you use it a lot easier. Because if you just start clicking and dragging, this can get a little frustrating, when things are flipping around on you and tilting and so forth. So the main thing to keep in mind here when using the click and drag operation with the View Cube is to rotate in tiny little circles. So if you click and drag with the left mouse button, as I rotate in tiny little circles to the left, or basically counterclockwise, you can see that the building is rotating to the right or rolling to the right. If I go in the other direction, the building will rotate to the left or roll to the left. So if you go counterclockwise, it goes to the right. Clockwise, it goes to the left. So as you're using the click and drag, if you find out that it's tilted a little bit in one direction, just kind of slowly rotate around until it straightens itself back out. Now, in addition to the click and dragging of the box, we also can click and drag on this little ring around the base of the box. And this allows us to kind of spin our world a little bit. Now, let's say, for example, we find ourselves in a situation that we do not like. Okay, so say our view is here, difficult to get back, or we just want to get back to where we started. The View Cube has something called a home view. Now this is a very cool feature and one of the nicest things I like about the View Cube. If you click on the little house icon in the upper left hand corner of the View Cube, it'll take you right back to your default view. Now what's your default view? Well, it can actually be anything you want it to be. So say for example, if we rotate around and let's just say we want something crazy like this to be our view. What we can do is we can now right click on the little house icon and go to Set Current View as Home. Now, every time that we're working around, we can always just jump right back to that view by clicking on the little house icon. This is very, very useful, especially when you're dealing with complex objects or complex scene, because chances are you're going to have a favorite vantage point to see the overall object. And that would be perfect use for this home view. Let's say that we're rotating around and we're just messing around with our view. And we're like, you know what, this isn't quite right. I want to go back to my front view. Notice what happened. The world has kind of been tilted on its side. Now, the world itself hasn't been rotated, as you can see from our other views. The front still looks correct, the left still looks correct, and so forth. However, in our perspective view, it does not. I want to show you this because this is probably something that you're going to encounter when using the View Cube, and it can be a little frustrating and a little bit annoying when you first see it. We can easily fix this little problem here by clicking on the little arrows in the upper right-hand corner of the View Cube. So as you're working around with this and you find yourself in a tough situation, you can always just click on the arrow to bring you back. Now, if you're not in one of the predefined views, you cannot use the arrows yet. We also don't have the little arrows around the border of the box. They only exist when you're on one of those presets. And you'll notice it doesn't even work when you have two presets defined. Okay, so when you're on a corner or when you're on an edge. let's take a look at how we can actually make this more useful. Because right now, the view cube is big. It is taking up a lot of valuable real estate in our viewports. It's useful, but not sure it's that useful where it justifies that kind of real estate. So the nice thing about the view cube is it's highly configurable. So if we right-click on the view cube and go down to Configure, within Configure at the top, we can specify exactly how we want this to look. So the first thing, if you do not like the view cube, you can just uncheck it and be done with it. It won't show up in your viewports until you enable it again. However, we want to keep it there. So we just want to lower the real estate or lower the footprint it has in our viewport. So underneath, show the view cube, we want to show it only in our active view, only in the view with the yellow border around it. We also want to change the size. It is just too big. So if we click on the drop-down list and go to Small and click OK, you'll notice that it's now much more manageable. It only shows up in your current view. We can still see the individual components of the box, and we can still very easily interact with it.